Welcome back to JB Sports. I'm your host, Sean Byrne, and today is Friday. So, it's all about normal sports, a little bit of NBA today, a little bit of NFL. There's some stuff going on, and then some Commander stuff, and maybe just some rumors going around. And we gotta talk about some stuff. I know it's been a while since I've been on. Uh, it's been a week. Sorry again for missing Wednesday. Stuff coming on. I had some technical difficulties. I promise it will be back as soon as possible on Wednesday. I promise. I promise. I promise. Batteries died. Mics were dead. Everything was dead. I've been back college. I've not been charging stuff. I'm getting back to it. Don't worry. But we will go straight into it. First thing we will do is go into the NBA playoffs. So NBA playoffs really heating up. I mean, it's been heated up, let's be honest here. But we got our first participant in the NBA Finals. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who beat the Minnesota Timberwolves in a series 4-1. And other than that one game, it was pretty much a beatdown. There was one other game where it was close. But other than that, Thunder really dominated. The last game, the Timberwolves, in their first quarter, scored 9 points. Only 9 points. That's insane. A team scoring 9 points in a conference finals in a quarter. Of course, they had 20 through the next one, so it was better, but they just could not make up the deficit of 26-9 to start it, and then it just kept ramping up and ramping up and ramping up, and finally, the Timberwolves just lost at 124-94, and a lot of it has to just go into their stars just not playing well. I mean, you have Julius Randle, 24 points, Jaden McDaniels, 5, Rudy Gobert, 2, and only 5 rebounds. Anthony Edwards, 19 and 6, which you got to, as Anthony Edwards, the star of the team, you got to do better than that. Michael Conley with 0, Naz Reid with 11. I mean, Terrence Shannon Jr. got 11. He shouldn't have to be like one of the leading scorers, though. I mean, it's good to have him there, but it shouldn't have to be him. And then on the other side, you got Jalen Williams, 19, Chet Holmgren, 22, Isaiah Hartenstein, 8, Lou Dort, he had 12, Shea 34. On the bench, Isaiah Joe had 11. Like, they had a lot of players who showed up, and the Timberwolves just on their side, the stars. Julius Randle did okay, but Ant did not play how he should be. It's kind of like Jalen Williams and Shea. Shea got the 34, Jalen got 19, and Chet got 22. That's around the scores it should be. But on the Timberwolves side, you have Julius Randle scoring 24, which is okay. It's a little more than what you think you usually get. You think maybe like 20, 18 to 20 a night from him. And Anthony Edwards is up to that, around that 30-point range. He had 19. So I think he was taking some really bad shots this game, really long ones. I think it just got to a point where it was just desperation, and just the series did not go the way it should be. That's two conference finals in a row with the Timberwolves where they just couldn't get it going. I think last year they had a rough time against the Mavericks too, especially with Luka. And I'm not really going to talk about the fouling right now. That is for a whole nother topic. But right now, it is the Thunder who finally make it to the finals after so many years since the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden finals era for them. So it's been a while. Lost and Unbound, dude, is happy as can be, and I'm happy for him. So, yeah, that's what was up with that series. Really rough series for Anthony Edwards, and that it just did not go the Timberwolves' way. And then on the other side, the series, which probably should have been ended last night, but was not, it is the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks. Next game tomorrow at 8. It is a series 3-2 lead for the Pacers. Pacers had a really rough game yesterday, and how I was talking about how those stars need to score. It just was not. It was not good. As much as I love to talk about Tyrese and how he's a superstar, this was not a superstar game. 8-6-2, absolutely terrible. Your leading scorer was Benedict Mathurin on the bench, which Benedict Mathurin is good. I really like him, and Obi Toppin had 11, but you need to be scoring more than 8 as the main guy on the team. Pascal only had 15 too, so it just seemed like the Pacers just didn't want it. Walker on the bench, he had 6. TJ McConnell, he's always good as like 7 to 10. Ben Shepherd had 8. You had bench guys outscore Tyrese, which should not be happening on the regular. Like Benedict Mathurin, I kind of understand if he has one of those games, which he's been playing very good these last 2 games. He was one of the reasons they won the last game, but you're having games like this as Tyrese, you can't have that. That's one reason why people like hesitate to call him a superstar. I still think he is, but it's just another reason people hesitate. Now on the New York Knicks side, you have Karl-Anthony Towns getting 24 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. OG Anunoby 11, Mikal Bridges having 12, Jalen Brunson having 32, Josh Hart having 12. So the people you need to score are actually scoring. So it's just showing the difference in the teams and how much they wanted it that game. To be fair, this is the first series where the Pacers have lost 2 games this whole playoffs. It's so far every series for the Pacers has ended at the game they just lost. It has been in 5. Do I think the Pacers should be worried? I don't think so. As long as you play better, as long as you play like you played at least game 2, even against them, against the Knicks, you can finish this in 6, which I hope it is. I want to see the Pacers in the finals. I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people want to see the Knicks versus Thunder. I think that's the worst finals just because just the mix between Brunson and Shea. I just don't like the mix of those two clashing against each other. I'd much rather have the Pacers. You have one of the better offenses in the Pacers. When they're hot, they're very, very good. And then one of the best defenses in the Thunder. So you're kind of just hoping. I mean, I'm hoping that we get to see that. If it is the Knicks, I'll be happy for some of my friends that are Knicks fans. I'll be happy for the Knicks fans, but I just think it'll be probably the worst finals matchup, in my opinion, of course. And technically, no one's opinion is wrong because people have different opinions in what they like to see. Some people wanted to see. I think a majority of people said the best matchup would have been the Timberwolves and Knicks. I think it would have been the Pacers and the Timberwolves, but everyone has a different opinion in what they like to see. So when people argue about what they find more entertaining in the series, that is straight just a person basis. Like you could like watching the Knicks more than you like watching the Pacers. You can like watching the Thunder more than you like the Timberwolves. I like watching the Timberwolves more than the Thunder and the Pacers more than the Knicks, but for someone else it can be totally different. So at this point it's not too much to really argue about just because people like their certain basketball more than another person likes their certain way of basketball. So it's really just on a person to person basis. But I would like to see the Pacers make it there if they can close out this series, which again they play tomorrow at 8. If we go through the series, of course, game 1 made a sole episode just about it, and it was awesome. It was a great game. Game 2, you have the Pacers beat the Knicks mostly because of Pascal Siakam. Okay, then you go to the first loss of the series for the Pacers, which was 100 to 106 at home. Really, it was a close game. They had a 20-point lead though, so they could have won that. They should have won that. Then they go back to they're still in Indiana. This is a game where they win 130 to 121. Tyrese Halliburton has a superstar game. Is the first NBA player ever. I think it was with a 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists with 0 turnovers. He's like one of the first. He's like the first player to ever do that. I'm pretty sure that's the stat. I can check it on my phone real quick because I have a picture of it, so I'd remember it, and I don't remember it. So let me pull this up. But yeah, Tyrese, he played absolutely amazing. Let's see here. It says third player with 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 15 assists. Sorry, joins Oscar Robertson and Nikola Jokic, but he's the first in playoff history with 30 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists, and 0 turnovers. So that's what he is the first one to do, and I find it just great. Tyrese, he's so good at not turning the ball over. Again, looking at this last game though, that could have been more of an issue for him. I think that I don't know. It just something was up about his game. I think he just didn't have the same intensity he had in the first game. You know what I mean? I think he just needs to pick it up again, like that again in game 2, or I think it was 3 when they lost. He said I didn't give it to Pascal enough. I believe is what he said, and then he buckled down, said, "All right, let me get it to my players." He gets it to his players. They start to spread it out more. They win again. So it really just boils down to Tyrese playing well and elevating the teammates around him, because that's what's been one of Tyrese's major points about him is he's been elevating the people around him. And once he plays bad, usually the whole team plays bad. It's kind of like when Tyrese isn't on the floor on the offense, it's a lot more stagnant. It's not very good. But the second you put Tyrese back in there, it starts to flourish again. So really bad game for him. Can't excuse that. Got to play better than that. And if he gets past that, they'll be doing way better. And I mean, Naismith had a 3-point game too. So like the people who usually score just did not play well. Pascal only had 15, like I said. So just a really rough game overall for all of them. I think they, like I said, even if they play like they played in game 2, if they play like game 3, it's going to be pretty close to a blowout. So I want the Pacers to win. If they play like they played in game 4, not game 3. That was, well, in the beginning of game 3, yes. But if they play like game 4, or they play like game 2 or game 1 near the end of game 1, then they can win this series and go to the finals and face off against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Looking at these two teams, though, say that the Pacers close out this series and go to the finals. Them against the Thunder, seeing how they match up, I think that it will be a good series. I think one part you have to look at is just like, will they be able to outplay the defense of the Thunder? And with the weapons they have, I think they can. I think they can hold with the Thunder. I think one of the Minnesota Timberwolves' problem is their defense wasn't the best. And you can look at the page and be like, their defense isn't the best, but I think there might be a little better. And I think it's they got more people on their team that work better together. The Timberwolves have a lot of good players, Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert's but they just didn't have the Timberwolves just didn't have the people to match up, I think. And I think the Pacers can do really good. And you kind of look at some of the defenders on the Pacers. Naismith, he's been doing a pretty good job against Brunson. Brunson's still going to get his points, but he's making it harder for Brunson. He makes it feel it more. Brunson in almost every game scores more points, and he gets his point totals when Naismith is not guarding him. So Naismith slows him down, and he just guards him well, and that's why I think maybe he can be pretty good against Shea, and he can try to slow Shea down. Which Shea's the MVP. He's been playing pretty good, and it's going to be hard to slow him down. And foul baiting, I don't really want to get into it. I'm a Harden fan, so I don't really have much room to talk about it. But sometimes it's a little crazy, and sometimes I think it's just But it's just a part of the game you're gonna have to get to learn. It's kind of like the tush push in the NFL. It's a part of the game. You got to learn how to adapt to it. You got to find a way to stop it. Find a way to stop Shea from foul baiting, then you stop it. It's just like how, or you just wait for him to get older, which he's young, which is one problem with how good he is. He's younger, so it's gonna be a while before he starts slowing down. Like when Harden did, he started slowing down. He started doing it less. You just gotta wait for that point, or find a way to stop it. And right now, they haven't found a way to stop it. So at this point, you're just waiting for him to do it less. And the way he's been successful with it, he's not gonna stop anytime soon. So, and it's kind of in the same way with Brunson. That's kind of what he's been doing a little bit recently. He's just very good at getting that little contact and making it look bigger. And it's just what they do. And you just gotta have to learn how to live with it. That's really it. But going into Pacers Thunder, I think never say never with the Pacers. You see the first game of the series. You've seen almost every series they've come down from insane deficit or a really hard part. So never count the Pacers out. I think they could win it. Do I think they will? I think it'd be a really big struggle to have a chance to do it, but I would love to see them win. And if you bring the Knicks into it, the Knicks, again, you can't count them out. They had the 20-point deficit against the Pacers. They came back. That's a big reason why I thought the Pacers could still win last night after being down 10 for 2 quarters, because in this series, you never know what happens. You never know with the Knicks. You never know with the Pacers. You never know how the Knicks stack up. I think Chet and Towns can be a very good matchup if Towns stays healthy. I pray that Towns stay healthy. I pray that everybody stays healthy. But Towns has been having that knee issue, and it might be a cause of concern for the Knicks. Brunson, is he going to match up against Shea? Or are you going to have both of them going back and forth and just start fouling each other out of the game? You have some other people who can match up well. I think Bridges might be able to match up well against Williams. You can have a good matchup for either of these teams compared to what the Timberwolves and either of these teams would have been. So I think it's just how it works out on that side. Do I think the Knicks have a better chance than the Pacers? No, I think they probably have the same chance either way for each team. I think they both have a harder chance of winning this finals against the Thunder than they would have had against the Timberwolves. I think it's just easy to say that. So we'll see what happens there. Is it good? Will it be a good finals? I still think it has promise, but it's up to it's a person to person base. Going off the Pacers and the Knicks, I'll go into some of the stuff that had been happening in the NFL. Of course, that happened a little while ago, but I'm just going to get into it now. We have Brock Purdy getting a monster contract. I think it was 5 years, 200. Oh, what was it? Brock Purdy. What contract number is it? 265 million. That's what I thought. I think that, you know what? The 49ers, they have their guy. They have their guy that they think can do it for them. Has he been able to? He's been able to get in there. He hasn't been able to win the dance at the end. I'm happy they found their guy. You have your guy. You go out and get him. Do I think 5 years, 265 million for Brock Purdy is the type of money? No, 100% not. I think that he's more of a Baker Mayfield contract type guy. I've thrown that around that kind of ideal out on this podcast a lot. I said it about Sam Darnold. He deserved that Baker Mayfield type contract, and he got pretty close to that. I think that's around like 150 million. Maybe that's kind of where you go. Brock Purdy, maybe 175, but 265 million for Brock Purdy to me is kind of insane. He's got a lot of guaranteed money on that, 5 years, and I don't think he's a talented player. I mean, I'm a podcaster. He's better than I'll ever be, but I don't think he's in that upper echelon of quarterbacks to get that upper echelon quarterback money. He's good. He's definitely good enough to be a starter, but he's not an upper echelon starter like the rest of these guys. Like Trevor Lawrence and him and Brock Purdy should have got the same kind of deals as Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. They should have got those type of deals. Trevor Lawrence overpaid. Brock Purdy, to me, right now at least, overpaid. And I don't think he's on that same level as a Lamar, as Allen, as a Mahomes, which Mahomes he's taken a step back in his play, but when he got that contract, he definitely deserved it. And it's just those realms of quarterback, I just don't think like the Jalen Hurts, he doesn't deserve the same money that Jalen Hurts gets. Jalen Hurts, as much as it pains to say as a Commanders fan, he's good. He got his team to the Super Bowl twice. First one ended up short, and then he won it. Brock Purdy hasn't done that. Brock Purdy, he had a chance to win the Super Bowl, and they choked it away. I mean, some injuries got in there and situations happened. That always happens, but he still wasn't able to get it done in the end. Jalen Hurts did. That's why Jalen Hurts deserves a bigger contract like he got. Stuff like that. Brock Purdy hasn't been able to do that. He's gotten them to the dance, so I think that's more the team around him. I think Brock Purdy is a very good quarterback, but he's more of a quarterback where his team around him is really good. He's going to be really good. His team around him is kind of mid. He's not going to be as good. He'll be a little better than mid, but he's not going to be great. So do I think he deserved the money he got? No, I do not. I think maybe, like I said, a Sam Darnold type contract with maybe more guaranteed money could be good. But I just think that he didn't deserve the money he got, and I think he should have gotten that more middle management, middle QB money than the high end. But again, 49ers, they think they got their guy, and if they like their guy, go for him. Get Brock Purdy for whatever you want. Get him for whatever you need him to stay for, but I don't think he should have got that money, personally. But at the end of the day, he got it. Nothing can really change that, and we move on. Next, I want to talk about I think it was the blocking award now that you can get in the NFL. Protector of the Year. There we go. Protector of the Year award. This was honestly, I love this award. I think that linemen, don't really get the respect. I mean, of course, a lot of the linemen do get some respect, but they haven't got the respect they deserve because just stat wise and stuff, it never looks like the most beautiful thing on picture, right? So they can't get an offensive player. It's really hard for them to get an offensive player of the year itself. They'd never get an MVP award. This is one solely for them, and I think that is absolutely amazing. I think people have deserved this award. They've been hunting for it, and there's so many NFL players who can get it. You got a few Eagles guys, you got some Lions guys, you got some Buffalo Bills guys. Maybe not going to say it because then I might get a little hate for it, but I was saying maybe Laremy Tunsil, if he does good this year, we'll see. Maybe he could get an award like that. There's a lot of NFL offensive linemen who have deserved this award over the years and just didn't get recognized because it wasn't an award and they're not going to win Offensive Player of the Year because that's just something that doesn't happen. So I think it's amazing and I think it's a really good thing for them. And that might start driving the price up for offensive linemen up more now that they got an award they can win. Because anytime a player gets an award, their price goes up. And linemen, they're like, oh, we got an award now? Give me that. It's going to go up. So let's hope that it doesn't make them go up too much because, you know, it might start getting pricey for linemen and it's already pricey for other positions out there. So we'll see. But it's already pretty pricey. But I think it's a great award to add to football. I think they deserve it, and I think it's gonna be really good to see some of these guys be recognized. Can't wait to see who's the first one though. You got a lot of potential people who could be that. Another story that came out, Joe Flacco. He talked about like being a mentor and not being a mentor. It was like this speech kind of thing. It was an interview he did in the Browns locker room, which, good for him being back there. I don't know if I want to be a quarterback there if I was at his level, but hey, this man keeps getting contract, he keeps getting money, might as well do it. Am I right? So he gets in there, he's getting the money he needs, but it was something in lines where like he's not there to be a mentor, he's there to be a player, but he'll pass knowledge on, like something like that. And some people are mad at it, some people are not. The way I see it is he's still trying to play. He's still going for that number one spot. So why is he going to give all that like knowledge there, at least in OTAs or training camp, when he still wants to be the number one quarterback? I think that's something that Joe Flacco honestly is still going for, just because you see how the Browns are like. If they were like solely brought him there just to be like, oh, you're just going to be the veteran, then he's going to be like, all right, like I can mentor someone in there. And honestly, he probably still should be mentoring someone because you have Dylan Gabriel there, you have Shedeur Sanders there, Kenny Pickett. I don't really count him as someone you need a mentor for. I think he's already kind of pushed away, but you get what I mean. He's still kind of fighting for a starting spot, so he's probably not going to help the players that are gunning for a spot as much as people think he should. You know what I mean? So I think that's just something that I think people are getting overly mad for. 49ers speaking of 49ers finalizing a deal for Bryce Huff. I think he was kind of like he's a mid kind of draft pick, I guess. I mean, oh, he wasn't a draft pick this year, but he's been in the league for a little while. He's not like a premier pass rusher, I think, at least. That's also what I've seen from the Eagles fans talking about how they're not worried about losing him. But good for the 49ers. I mean, they've lost some guys in free agency. They're gonna have money issues eventually because you see this with the Bengals with Burrow getting the amount of money he got. It became a problem. So we're going to see how much this Brock Purdy contract will affect them, because a lot of the people they let go, they probably didn't want to let go, but they let go to keep Brock Purdy. So it's just one of these contract situations that people are going to have to realize quick doesn't work out because, like I said, with the Bengals, they got Burrow. They paid him a lot of money. Burrow deserved a lot of money, in my opinion. And I guess the way I kind of explain Brock Purdy is the same way you can kind of talk about Burrow, but I just don't think Burrow's on this. I mean, Purdy's on the same level as Burrow. It's different, but um, the problem with these contracts though is you're putting so much money on the quarterback that you can't get people around him. The Bengals, yes, they did get Jamar Chase back. They're going to get him back. They got um, Higgins back, but in the offseason you lost Hubbard, right? And now you're losing Hendrickson because he wants out. It's a personal issue for him now. It's not just a business issue, it's a personal issue now. And then your number one, your first round pick is still holding out because contract issues. So you lost three defense. At this point, you're losing three defensive linemen. You don't have them. Hubbard retired. Hendrickson wants out, and you have Shamar Stewart, who I don't think they should have picked. I think he should have been later, much later in the draft. I think second round, in my personal opinion. If Donovan Ezeraku fell the first round, Shamar should have been one to fall out too. But and I don't want anyone to fall. I think people should go exactly where they are. But still staying around this premise, right now they are losing out on three defensive linemen, two ones that are already kind of solidified on their team, and then one who's a rookie who's had, I think it was 3 sacks in the last like 2 years, something like that. It was not good. His production was not there. He's got all the skills to be really good, but his production's not there. So you have a guy whose production's not there, who hasn't signed to the team yet, while almost every other rookie has. You have a player who just retires, kind of out of nowhere. Good for Sam Hubbard, though. He got what he wanted in the league. He's out. He's good. He's got his money. He's good. Happy for him. And then Hendrickson, he is the league leader in sacks, I think, during the season twice, 2 years in a row. He's the league leader in sacks. That just doesn't randomly happen. There's some guys who just leave for a year and then they go into the dust. You very, very rarely see a guy who leads the team in sacks and leads the league in sacks 2 years in a row. And you know what? Burrow wants T, but at some point you have to think, yes, their offense is that good, but another problem for the Bengals last year is their defense was that bad that their offense had to play 2 times better just to make up for the defense not being able to stop scoring, and then they got to play that much better just to win a game. So you pay T. Higgins all this money, and then you just leave Hendrickson out to dry. Who you need? I mean, you draft a guy to make up for him, but the guy you draft to make up for him doesn't have the numbers to make up. Well, of course, he's a rookie, so he's not going to make up immediately, but he doesn't even have the numbers to become half or even a quarter of what Hendrickson had. So you really just wonder what's going on here because Shamar is not signing. Hendrickson, he's going to be gone unless somehow they can just get money, but they aren't. He's most likely going to get traded, hopefully to the Commanders if we can get him. But you're just in a really bad position where your offense is great. It's awesome. It's a great offense, but your defense is one of the worst in the league. Potentially the worst. Have you seen some of the clips from last year? They're awful. And then if you take Hendrickson out, Sam Hubbard retired, and Shamar doesn't play, you're cooked. You're really cooked. Just saying. So, Bengals in such a hard position, and that's why I think that this contract situation for Purdy is just going to hurt him as much as it did the Bengals. You already have Drake Greenlaw who left. You have your safety, I think Holofunga, something like that. He left. They both went to the Broncos. Debo's gone on the offense. He went to the Commanders. We got traded there. He I think already got a contract extension. You have, I'm pretty sure, or he hasn't yet. I think they were in talks, something like that. But he's already there. And you got Wagner back, which is Fred Warner. You got him back. Awesome. Top paid linebacker. But now it's kind of like that Chase Burrow situation where you got 2 of the guys who are just almost taking up, hogging the cash, which they're 2 best players. You kind of understand, especially for the 49ers. Fred Warner, best linebacker, one of the best. I think after last year. I mean, Fred is definitely the most talented, I think, but we'll see. It was really rough with how the 49ers played last year. I think he might have been injured once or twice. So. And then Purdy, who, like I already said my piece on him. So these contract situations where these teams are paying quarterbacks all of their money, they can't build around them. So they're going to either have a really good offense or a really good defense. And so far, it has not been. It's not the equation to make a Super Bowl winning team. It hasn't worked for the Bengals, and I don't think it's going to work for the 49ers anytime soon. So unless you can just make your offense so potent, so unbelievably potent that you could go against the best defense in the league and be totally fine and still win, even though your defense sucks and they could have a middle of the road defense, and not win, you're cooked. It really just is not the equation to win. Somehow, if they do it, you know what? Props for them. They cracked the code, but I just don't think that's how it works, personally. But yeah, that's some of the stuff around the league. You got Bryce Huff, who should help on defense. He'll be good for them. I don't think he's going to be amazing, but he'll be good. You just have some things in NFL just don't make sense. So it's just not looking the best for the 49ers, in my opinion. It's looking real rough. Then going into some other teams, Washington Commanders, of course, they are my team. Love them to death. They've been making some good moves in the offseason. Really, really hope they pay Scary Terry soon. Love Scary Terry, and I think that give the man his money. Please. Had the best season of his career. I don't know yards wise, but touchdown wise, he set our team's record for receiving touchdowns in a year. So this man had the best season of his life. This is probably his last big contract from his age standpoint. Give him his money. He's still the difference between Terry is he's actually been showing up for some of these things. He didn't sit out the whole time. Now he is, so we can be like, come on, guys, just give me my money. But you got to pay him soon because you want him to come in and you want him to be at these training camps. You don't want him holding out because that just makes everybody knows Terry's still going to work because Terry's that type of character guy. He's working on his own, and he did come into some practice, but you don't want him sitting out for too long because it's just team chemistry wise, it's just not the best. You know what I mean? It kind of just happens for some of these teams. I mean, Brandon Ayuk last year, kind of hard to team chemistry a little bit, and then unfortunately he got injured. Really unfortunate that happened, but just these holding out stuff just don't work out too well. And then the other two people who are not showing up. There's three main people. Laramie Tunsil. I don't know if it's just he wants his money or he's just not showing up. But I don't think he showed up to many of the Texans OTAs and stuff anyway. The one I'm most questionable about is Marshawn Lattimore. Lattimore, I literally have defended with my life. I don't think we've given him a fair shot. I think my biggest thing is, hey, he was injured. He didn't have a chance to be healthy, and then he just never had a chance to practice with the team. Excuse me. And I think this is the time where he should already be back. He should be healthy. He should be practicing for the team. So Marshawn, I don't know what his problem is. Dan Quinn doesn't seem to be too bothered from it, from what I've seen. He's pretty fine, but you just gotta start getting something going here. Get Terry McLaurin his contract money. Tunsil, when the training camp comes, hopefully he's in there. But Marshawn, he's the type of guy where he should be there already. Am I a little annoyed by it? Yeah. Am I a little worried? Yeah, because you want this guy to be good. We traded a lot for him last year. I mean, you just want this guy to be good for you because you go from a room where it's a cornerback room where it's you start the year off Benjamin St-Juste, Emmanuel Forbes, and then Mike Sanders. So Emmanuel Forbes, we know he's terrible. I'm sorry. I hope he does great. I hope he does great with the Rams. He looks like he's put on muscle. So happy for him. He's looking pretty good, honestly. But you know what? Looks can be deceiving. We knew he wasn't going to do well for us. It's okay. You know what? I kind of feel bad for how much I've dogged him in the past. Benjamin St-Juste, you know he's not that guy. You want him to be, he just can't be that guy. You know, he's had some good games. Sometimes he even defended like the likes of Justin Jefferson well, but then he just hold. There's so many penalties he caused during the season that just were not forgivable, really. He almost lost us that Bears game. Had the hold on Keenan Allen's hips when the ball wasn't even in play. So he just got beat and beat and held and held. So it just wasn't working for us. And Sanders still, we love him now. He's great. We didn't know if he was going to be that guy yet. So you go from a room where it's those three, and then now you go into a room where it's Marshawn Lattimore, who if he plays the way we can, it looks great. Then you go to Mikey Sanders still, played really well last year. I think he's going to take a leap. I think he'll be great. And then this new guy, or there's new guys you signed, or the new guy you just drafted, Trey Amos, or Jonathan Jones, something like that can happen. where it just works out. It just looks so much better. And as a Washington fan, I think a lot of other people agree with me. It just feels really nice to see the difference in that room in just a year and knowing the talent we have for once. Because last year, if you really thought, I'm sorry, if you went into this year thinking last year thinking we had our good CB room, you were something's up. You were just really hopeful for what Emmanuel Fords and Benjamin St. Juste were, and then what Mikey Sanders-Still was going to be, which that was fine to be hopeful for him because he just got drafted. You want to have high hopes for your rookie, and he turned out really well. You know what I mean? But it was just, something was just, you just never knew, you just never thought they were really going to be that good. And then turns out Mikey Sanders still is good, and those two guys are gone. You got a guy that can be really good in Marshall and Lattimore. Just give him some time, let him be healthy, let him work with the team. I think he'd be good. You have Mikey Sanders still, and then Trey Amos, who I think is going to be very good. I think he was kind of a steal, which it's not a steal in the sense like he should have been way earlier, but I'm just happy he fell to us. So overall, it's just really nice to see the difference in those rooms. And then just the team all around. You got some better linemen. Laremy Tunsil, he sticks out. Connerly, our draft pick, he looks amazing. Looks absolutely great. Really happy he signed. Everything's working out great. You have some of these new wide receivers like Lane, who's already looking amazing. Well, not like amazing, but he's already looking good. You already know he's probably gonna be your punt returner because he's fast. He's very, very fast. And just to get Eckler off that returner role, because then we don't 2 concussions last year was scary, and I don't want that to keep happening. So fun, and especially because Crowder's not back. We let Emmanuel Fords was kind of in that role last year. It didn't work out for him, so he didn't make it past practices with that role, so we pushed that away. What was it? Samuel, he's not there anymore. Luke's more of a kickoff guy. I think he really got a no pun intended a kick out of that last year near the end. He did well, and just the guys you had returning just aren't here, or they weren't the best. And I think Lane can really be a step up. And I just think overall in a lot of these positions we kept some of the guys that were good and that we need for the younger players, and then we just brought in some people who are even better. Like wide receiver room looking pretty good. Wide receivers, Terry McLaurin. You have Deebo Samuel, Noah Brown, Lane. You still have Michael Gallup, who could maybe be good, maybe not. We'll see what happens with him. You have just a bunch of guys who can be good for you. And I just really like the KJ Osborne. He's back. Hopefully he can become kind of that good, maybe wide receiver 3 that we thought he could be last year. He didn't really work out as much, but we didn't really put him in. I think his first play in the game was a hold. So it didn't work out well, but maybe he still has something there that can work out. So you have a lot of guys who can be good. You have a lot of guys who are already good to fill those spots right now. Do I think soon you might want to find someone who can really learn and become the next great wide receiver for you? Yeah, Lane, I think he'd be really good. Do I think he's that number 1? Probably not. I do think you need to find someone to learn under Terry maybe soon. Yeah, but right now I like our room. I think we have a lot of good people. I think a lot of guys who have that potential to be pretty good for the spot they're in, and I think it's just let it happen, let it develop, let the coaches cook. I think it'll be great. Defensively, still kind of looking for an edge rusher. I don't really love the room we have right now, but inside line, not too mad about it. Jason Newton. You have Daron Payne. Hopefully he kind of goes back to his season, like, was it 2 years ago? When he earned his money. Getting back to that because Allen's gone, so Newton's going to have to step up. You got some other D linemen we really fixed the run stopping. Hopefully, we've got some good run stoppers, but we lost the edge rush ability, so that's one thing that's going to worry me, which is why I think we should trade for Hendrickson, but we'll see what happens there. And you just like a lot of the stuff that's going on. I think it's been a pretty good upgrade, and I think that we should be excited. I'm not going to do a what do you call it, a win-loss record yet. I think I need a little more time to see what these players are doing, but I think it'll be good. I'll definitely have it more than last year. Last year, I think I had us at max 7 or 8 wins. I think that's what I had us at, which was a huge, huge miss. But I mean, going into that year, I think most people would agree with me. So we'll see how it goes. Way harder schedule this year. Once we do the schedule prediction, I'll talk about it more. I'll say some better things, but for what we have right now, just know I think well about it. There's a lot of good people in the division. You got some good draft picks in there. You got to be kind of worried about. But overall, I like what the Commanders are doing. I think Jaden getting a little bigger, getting a little beefier. Love that. Love him to get a few more pounds just so the hits don't look as painful and hurt us as much as fans. Because anytime Jaden got hit last year, you're like, oh, just because it's your quarterback and it's your rookie quarterback, and the rookie track record for us, knock on wood, hasn't been the best. So you're just happy he's gained some muscle, put some stuff on. I don't think it'll. Hopefully, it doesn't affect his running too much. I don't think people have said it will. So, and then of course, 100 days till Commanders football. It just feels great. Football is coming back. XFL. I said I was going to talk about it, and then I'm just like, it just kind of didn't end up being something I really thought much about talking about, just because it just didn't look the best. So just be happy with what we got so far. Other stories in the NFL. Really, I think the main thing I'm just thinking about is the Steelers, man. Right now, I guess their starter is Mason Rudolph, because they're still waiting on an answer from Aaron Rodgers, which I think is, look, I feel like if you want Aaron Rodgers, you should have had him by now. Maybe Aaron's being a tough little man, can't really work with him well. Maybe that's going on, but personally, you want him, I think you would have had him by now. They're still going for him, which is great for them, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the key to your success. I think he'll be cool for like a veteran role, but I don't think he's that guy you need. I think you needed someone else, and I think you should have drafted someone else. Probably you should have drafted him, but the Steelers, they got a good guy. Really good story from him, and I think they'll still squeak out a 9-8. Let's be honest, it's just something they do. They'll still squeak out that game. They'll still have a winning season, and then lose in the wild card round like they always do. But I digress. Anything else really thinking NBA we went over? As we end this, we went over NBA. We went into the NFL. We went into some specific teams, some specific things that happened. We went to the Commanders. We went to the Brock Purdy contract. We talked about the Bengals a little bit. We then went into the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers. And that's pretty much it that's really happening right now. Other than that, there's just some small things that aren't really that worth talking about. So we will end this episode here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, leave a like, maybe subscribe. I would love that. You don't have to, but I would love it. I would really appreciate it. And have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. I'm starting to get some ideas for some videos, so maybe stay posted for that soon. I might decide to stream some of the finals, like my reactions to it, just like sit in front of the camera, chill, talk to you guys, and stream. We'll see what happens. But like I said, thank you. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye.